mean, where the fuck should I really even start?
Gazi Garcia is a 20-year-old SoundCloud sensation who's more commonly known as Lil Pump. Born and raised in South Florida, he's one of the handful of young Florida rappers that dominated the SoundCloud rap scene in the late 2010s. Before we get any further into this video, let me say this now. Outside of a couple artists, I am not a fan of the SoundCloud punk rap scene. It's just not my thing. So if I speak down on this type of music through this video, I think most of it sounds like so it is what it is. But let's get back to Lil Pump's beginning. Lil Pump grew up in South Florida, and while he was still in grade school, linked up with, go figure, Smoke Perp. Pump got kicked out of high school during his freshman year and quickly turned to rapping. Eventually, with Smoke Perp producing and Pump rapping, they started to drop their first music on SoundCloud in 2016. If you can hear the weed whacker outside, it is what it is. He was part of those first few Florida SoundCloud rappers to come with that reckless sound and quickly form that iconic SoundCloud rap sound. As bad as I think the music is, the youth latched onto it, and with each song Lil Pump dropped on SoundCloud, his name started to grow more and more. Because of his age and constant upbeat personality, Lil Pump's online presence shot off. When I say the youth latched onto his music, I really mean they latched onto him, as in him as a character more than his music. Pump hadn't even dropped a mixtape by this point, just singles through SoundCloud, but his name was taking off. He was actually one of the first SoundCloud rappers that had a video really explode with Cole Bennett. Lil Pump was constantly posting on social media. At this point, the weed whacker is inside the house. Every time you looked, he was doing something ridiculous on his Snapchat or Instagram. He was a teenage attention magnet, and it quickly became evident that whether you cared for his music or not, you had to see what he was going to do next. He most definitely was not alone in this, but compared to some of the other big SoundCloud rappers, his music was the worst, but his ability to attract a following was arguably the best. More on that a bit later. But because of that extremely valuable ability, combined with making music during that point in time, Lil Pump's early career was set up to completely blow through the roof, which is exactly what happened. In August of 2017, Lil Pump released Gucci Gang.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
The song peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and eventually went triple platinum. The incredibly catchy song made Lil Pump a household name, and he became an iconic party figure amongst teenagers. I think we can all recall that insanely annoying period of time, so I won't go too in depth on the effect that Gucci Gang had. Now, later that year, Lil Pump released his debut studio album, Lil Pump, which featured a slew of superstar rappers. In March 2018, he officially signed with Warner Brothers Records for a reported $8 million, which helped his ego shoot to another galaxy. If you were to ask Warner Brothers Records right now if they'd like a dime of that $8 million back, I guarantee you they'd take it. Just a month later, he released Let's Get It, which peaked at number 24 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and throughout the rest of 2018, Lil Pump continued to drop new music with other huge names, and even made I Love It with Kanye in September of 2018. 2018 was a massive year for Pump, continuing his massive success from Gucci Gang by making hits with big artists from all different music genres. It seemed like Lil Pump was going to be around for the long haul, or at least the rest of the 2010s, but that didn't really happen. So what did happen? Well, that requires us to go back into what I mentioned earlier, his social media presence being more entertaining than his music. What's the best way to put this? Lil Pump does not make good music. Gucci Gang was extremely catchy and shot him into superstardom, but the rest of his music is pretty bad, and that's putting it nicely. The reason he wasn't your average one-hit wonder and was able to stay relevant well after Gucci Gang was because of his ability to dominate social media. If you think back to that window of time, people weren't really talking about his music, they were more so talking about all the crazy stuff he was up to, or at least what he shared on the internet. Lil Pump was really a social media icon, not a music icon. Him trying to start beef, quote unquote, with J. Cole and then making a song with Kanye were really the last big music related headlines Pump made. Almost everything else was some stupid video or photo he posted online that caused waves throughout social media. He made himself a social media clown. And when that happens, you're bound to only be relevant for as long as people find your stupid content to be stupidly funny. I made that very specific for a reason. He's not and has never been funny. There's been quite a few social media icons that only post funny content and have stayed relevant for a long time. Lil Pump was really just posting stupid stuff that a lot of people found to be funny in a way because of how stupid or ridiculous it was. So he was really only entertaining to people when there's nothing else to do, so they're bored enough to already be scrolling through their timeline and then see Lil Pump's ridiculous video. Well, eventually, the class clown isn't that entertaining anymore. Trends come and go, there's new funny on a daily basis, so naturally people didn't care to see what the new class clown is doing. He didn't make content that most people would go out of their way to view. That's when you know you're really entertaining. Like I said before, it was really just something you'd see when you were already bored enough to be scrolling, and then you'd see whatever new bullshit he was up to. And I didn't even follow him on anything. That's just the clear impression that I got from basically everyone else. So Lil Pump pretty quickly became less and less relevant in his biggest space, social media. And once you start to fall off there, you're relying on just your music to carry your brand at that point. Well, no one really liked his music in the first place, so Lil Pump faded off into irrelevancy right before our very eyes. So what's he up to now? Well, back in April of this year, he posted a video of himself listening to his own new music, and it was basically rock music. Now, as far as I know, he never actually released this song, but he tried to dub it as pump rock. But this didn't really just expose his poser mentality even further. He most definitely is not the first rap artist to mix punk rock and rap together. Quite a few artists have extremely good punk rap songs, and I don't even know how Pump's new song could be perceived as good anyway. And notice how he shaved off his eyebrows. Just because you look the part doesn't mean you can play it. Besides that, he's got a new song with Young Thug, which nobody cares about because it's the same flow as 90% of the rest of his music. So yeah, I guess Pump hasn't completely disappeared yet. We're still witnessing what's probably the middle of his downfall. So people, mainly the younger folks out there, remember, class clowns come and go all the time. Lil Pump is flailing his arms around as he slowly sinks to the bottom of the forgotten artist ocean. Please don't buy into whatever mess he tries to put out to keep himself afloat. Let Lil Pump sleep in the bed he made for himself. Thanks for watching this episode of What Happened To. I've got a playlist full of other What Happened To episodes, so be sure to give those a watch. Also, leave a comment below with who you'd like to see featured in a future episode of What Happened To. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to see my next video. Talk to you all next time. Peace. Just a month later, he released Sked It. Stupid.